Hi, I'm Aaron, owner of Fit Performance Gym. Today I want to make a quick video on bands and chains and why you might utilise them in your training. So, first of all, what are they for? So, with bands and chains, the point of them is for the principle of accommodating resistance. What do I mean by that? With accommodating resistance, basically, if I was to do a squat, the hardest part of the lift would be from the bottom at the hole. But as I become in a more mechanical advanced position, as through here, it's easier for me to lift the weight. And so that's why people can do half squats or quarter squats with more weight than they can full squats. Same as bench press or any exercise that's taken through a partial range of motion. So the point of bands and chains is to accommodate that strength curve. So as I stand up with the weight, with a band or a chain, the tension will be increasing and therefore accommodate the fact that I'm becoming stronger as I become into a better position. So why would you use them? Well, there's a lot of research out there to say that there's improvements in power, improvements in strength, rate of force development, and sometimes even trump traditional training methods where you would just use straight weight. So, let's talk you through them and how you'd use them. So here we have bands set up. Now, bands come in different tensions, as does the chains. The chains come in different weights, and the amount of tension you use will be dependent on your strength ability. Obviously, if you're a new lifter with no resistance training, then just forget bands and chains completely. You'd only really use these when you're an intermediate to advanced lifter, and so green tension for the demonstration. So as you can see, with the bands, is they're pulling me down faster than gravity because the stretch is actively pulling me down towards the floor. I'm having to resist that at speed. And when I get to the bottom, there's hardly tension at all, okay? So that would accommodate the fact that the hardest part of the squat is at the bottom, and now there's no tension. As I begin to stand, the tension's increasing about here, and I'm in a strong position, I can continue to apply force. Now, the other point of bands in particular is if you're looking to develop the speed strength part of the continuum, well, if you just use the lighter weight, say 40 to 60% of your 1 rep max, inevitably you're going to have to slow it down or decelerate the weight, otherwise you're going to perform a jump squat. Whereas bands and chains, they allow you to keep pushing at speed without having to slow down. So that's the bands. Now in regards to the chains come in, as I mentioned, different heights and different weights, sorry. Now this is not how to use them. Now, some chains come with these preset holders here to be placed on the bar as follows. Now, the issue with this is that most of the weight, when I begin to squat, will still be on the bar when I get to the bottom. So as I come down like this, I've only really deloaded about 50% of the weight. And what we want ideally is next to no tension at the bottom, so that it's just the weight of the bar and the plates we have on there. So as I stand up, alright, okay, the weight is increasing, but not to the full extent as if it would be if we use leader chains. And now I'm going to show you how to do so. So a leader chain is just a thinner chain, and then what we do is we doubled up, and this will be dependent on your height. But now we'll put the thinner chain around the bar. And now what you'll see is that when I come to the squat, there's just the link or two just dangling on the floor. So as I begin my descent, all the weight begins to come off. I get to the bottom of the squat, there's no tension at all other than the weight again of the bar and the plates. And then as I begin to stand, the weight is increasing. Now, the difference between bands and chains, is probably evident from the demonstrations, is the instability of the chains. They're much more chaotic. As I begin to descend, the links will go ad hoc or random places. As I begin to stand up, however, the weight will incrementally increase. So each link is equal to each other. Whereas the bands, they're not incremental. So as I begin to stand, for argument's sake, this might be 20 kilos here, but it might be 40 kilos here and 60 kilos here of tension. So they're slightly different in the way they function. For easiness, the bands are sometimes a bit easier to set up, providing you have racks on the pegs. If not, you can use heavy dumbbells. But the chains, they're more expensive, they're harder to carry around with you, but they look and feel a bit better. So it is preference. Like I said, the bands do pull you down faster than gravity, and so eccentrically, they're good to improve your ability to control and descend at speed. And that could be important, you know, if you're looking at things like weightlifting in particular. So hopefully that video has helped you out. If it has, be sure to subscribe and give it a like, and I'll see you in the next one.